your Part A helps to cover hospital, skilled nursing, inpatient labs, imaging, medical equipment, some blood transfusions, and hospice care. Now, let's explain how this works. Because if you didn't have a Medigap supplement or an Advantage plan, then all you had was original Medicare. Let's see how this would work. If you went to the hospital, you're going to pay $1,632 admission. That's your deductible when you go to the hospital. It doesn't matter which hospital you go to. What are some of the hospitals around here? Okay, Holy Cross. Okay, so either one of those, $1,632. Doesn't matter which one that you go to. Now, that's $1,632 per benefit period. That's not an annual deductible. Begs the question, what's a benefit period? A benefit period begins when you're admitted to the hospital, and it ends 60 days after you're discharged from the hospital. So you could have more than one benefit period in a year. So you go in the hospital, you get out, you're out more than 60 days. If you go back in, even if it's for the same thing, you pay the $1,632 all over again. So you could have multiple benefit periods within a single year. If you have to do that more than once in a year, that's kind of a drag because that gets real expensive. Now, for the first 60 days that you're in the hospital, you're going to pay $0 additional. Now, this is just hospital, like room and board in a semi-private room and meals in the hospital. Nothing says recovery like green jello. After 60 days, you're going to start to pay rent. And for days 61 through 90, it's $408 a day. People always say, oh, $408 a day, that's a lot. But it's better than paying full retail for a hotel room at the hospital. So after 90 days, let's just play this out to the full extent. Then you're going to throw down a wild card. Everybody who has Medicare Part A has 60 lifetime reserve days. Now, you can use those days all at once if you need to. You can use some now, use some later, but use them wisely because you only get 60 of them until you die. And those days cost more. Those days are $816 a day. So if this guy is using all this at once, goes up to 150 days. After 150 days, he's on his own. But if he goes to 150 days and then gets out of the hospital, he leaves with about a $62,000 hospital bill. Now, let's say that the patient's not ready to go home yet. So the doctor says, let's use a scenario of having a stroke. So if you have a stroke, you're going to go to the hospital. You're probably going to be in 2 or 3 weeks. And then the doctor says, you don't need to be in the hospital anymore, but you're not ready to go home. So I'm going to refer you to a skilled nursing facility. That's that SNF there. The first 20 days at a skilled nursing facility are also $0 because you paid your $1,632 over here. After the 20th day, days 21 through 100 are $204 a day. So if you extend your vacation at the skilled nursing facility, that's going to be another $20,000 or so. You know, I was at an auto parts store near my home, and there's a gentleman in there. He's probably in his late 70s. And we were talking about this, and I said, what are you doing for Medicare? And he said, oh, I've got original Medicare. That's what A and B are called, is original Medicare. I don't do Advantage plans. I don't like those networks. And I said, look, this is going to cost you nothing. Let's get you on an Advantage plan, and at least you put a cap on your medical expenses here. Even if you don't ever use it, just get it, just so you got some protection. And it fell on deaf ears. It really kind of made me sad because he's in his late 70s. He works in an auto parts store. If this happens to this guy, it'll bankrupt him. 2/3 of bankruptcies are medical bankruptcies. And it could be so easily prevented.